Hi everyone, or no one. No one's there yet. I know. How are you? It was 12:12 on my phone when I hit go live, but for some reason my phone, and I don't know, maybe somebody could explain this. My phone was off by 4 minutes when I got it. Or maybe later, but when I realized it, it was off by 4 minutes. Updates, turn it off, on. Anything I did, it would stay 4 minutes behind. And then, eventually, it became 5 minutes behind, and then 6 minutes behind. And I don't know how that's possible, because all the phones and, all the electric things are all connected to the same, satellite system, I guess, whatever. So it's weird.
Mommy?
Yes, baby.
There?
That's mommy.
Mommy?
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Okay.
Paku.
Oh, did you hit your elbow? Mwah.
Paku.
Better?
Paku.
Popsicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi. My little one here wants a popsicle. It's too early for a popsicle.
Paku.
Here. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Don't touch. This morning when I dropped her off in kindergarten, usually whenever I take her to kindergarten, I go to my grandma's house afterwards, and this morning, what are you doing? Something told me, stay home and wait. So I was like, okay, so I'll stay home and wait. About 45 minutes later, kindergarten calls me, come pick her up. She's sneezing everywhere. So here we are. Snot-faced. Alright, go play with Kaya.
No.
Then come here. What's in your hair? What was that? Oh, she's got something in her hair. Anyways, sorry. Mommyville on a live, right? That's my hair tie.
Diddy.
Yay, you did it. Oh no, don't even. Don't even. High five. This one. And low. Face. There was no owie. Fix your hair. You're being rude. She's on one today. Anyways, question of the day that I heard was, of all the people that you know or have known, I don't know, I might have to come back. Who do you love the most? Without thinking about it, without having to go down a list of names.
Yeah.
That's lotion. Do you want some?
No.
Okay. Who do you love the most? That was the question I got this morning. And I didn't have an answer, right? So Spirit's like, who do you love the most? And I was like, I don't know. She's here. You want some? Dann mach die Hand auf. More? Alright, you can put some on your belly. There you go. And your legs. So, without thinking, who do you love the most? And then just having an answer. It's not easy. You gonna put lotion on me? Thank you so much. Good job. More? No, you can have that. You put that on your... Oh, okay. Extra lotion-y. Mama smells like coconuts now.
That's so good.
That's so good? That's lotion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so what came to my mind after I tried to think about it was maybe the reason I don't know who I love the most is because I don't love anybody the most. You know, it would be normal for somebody to say they love their children the most, or their spouse the most, or their sibling, or their parent, or even themselves, right? Because you're supposed to love yourself the most, right? But you're also supposed to... You want to put it on my cheek? Is that what we're doing? Oh, okay. Yeah, you just... Yep. More?
Yeah.
Look, there's still a bunch of white stuff there. You gotta rub that in before you put more. Oh, goodness. It would make sense that we would say we love our children the most, or, you know, family, friends, and spouse, whatever. I don't think that we really love anybody the most. I think... No, put that on my leg instead of my arm. If you're going to put it on me, then put it on my leg. This arm is feeling sticky already. It's too much lotion. And I'm trying to explain this whole thought process that I had, because it was more of a feeling, and sometimes feelings are hard to translate. Very good. Yes, put that on your face. Good job. Oh, and your hair. Okay. And my water bottle. Oh, yes. Just lotion everywhere, guys. Here. I hope so. There you go. Here's the thing. We fear love, right?
No.
We fear the pain that we associate with love. It starts in childhood or first relationship or, you know, first crush. At some point in our lives, we were completely open and excited about love, and then something or someone came along and crushed that part of us. And we developed a fear. We developed a fear for love. We became conditioned to believe that we are unworthy of love. Oh, God. Girl, what are you doing? No. She just got so much lotion in her hair. See, if I get lotion in my hair, it doesn't matter. My hair just sucks it right up. But she has, like... She's got the kind of hair that won't do that. But yeah, so whenever we are... Good. When we start to heal, when we come to that point in our life where we... oh, hey. When we realize... Yeah, more lotion. Whatever makes her happy, right? There you go. We realize I need to heal, right? And I feel like a lot of people, whenever we start the healing process, we don't realize that we're healing not just the trauma and the pain and the depression and the illness, mental, physical, emotional illness that comes with experiences that we've had in life. No, look how much you have left on your hands.
Hot.
More in Mama's hair.
Hot.
We don't realize until later on when we've, you know, really started doing the shadow work and we, you know, we start to learn these lessons. We don't realize until at some point later on that the process... No, put it on that leg. Good gosh. It leads to love. It leads to overcoming the fear of love. It leads to acknowledging our worth and understanding that we do deserve love. And eventually it comes down to us understanding, feeling that we are, you can't have that we are love. At our core, in our soul, our spirit, that we are love. Oh... I just washed that blanket. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. Come on. No, come on, go in the other room. Yes, we're gonna wash your hands off first. Good job. Alright. Now you can go touch stuff. Your hands are clean. Sorry about that. If my phone would let me record, I would have just edited all that out, but since I always have to do the lives, here we are. Anyways, so, when I started the process of healing, I had moved back to Germany from America, and a lot of the trauma that I was, overcoming was from abuse and being in relationships with addicts and having friends who became addicted to drugs and just low times in my life. So when I came back, I wasn't really in the headspace of I need to heal. I was in the headspace of I'm hurting. And then eventually I came to that point where I was like, well, how do I stop fucking hurting, right? And for me, because I had anxiety, I had panic attacks every day. I mean, hyperventilating, just horrible panic attacks. So for me, step one was to get my brain under control, to get out of that fight or flight mode. So that was like step one for me, for my personal journey in healing, was to get out of fight or flight mode. And then eventually, I started to become self-aware of my thoughts and my feelings. I started to understand that everything that happened to me was not their fault. It was my own, in the sense that I accepted these people and these things into my life, and whenever I realized that these things were not good, right? Because, good and bad is a matter of perception and understanding what the purpose of this experience is, or trying to. Some things just don't always make sense, but I was figuring things out. I was getting out of a victim mentality and into a headspace of where I was taking accountability. I was accepting where I fucked up. I'm really tired, guys. I've been having the weirdest dreams lately, and it's just really messing with my sleep. Oh god, look at all that lotion. Can you see it? Oh, very nice. Thanks, Addie. So that whole process began, and I didn't know that I was doing shadow work. I didn't understand that what I was doing was that of a spiritual nature, right? I just felt like shit, and I knew that I had to change the way I felt because nobody else was going to be able to do that for me. And I was pregnant when I first got back, so after I had the baby and I got back on my medication for my bipolar disorder and my anxiety and all this other stupid stuff that I had going on, it took some time, and my brain adjusted to the medication, and I was still a mess, but I was functioning. And then whenever I moved to the place I'm in now, eventually I stopped taking my medication. Now, whenever I was in the old place, I was really isolated. There. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a car at first. I didn't get a car until 3 months after moving in there. There was no public transportation. There was no real public transportation for me to get around a lot. That and pregnant and then C-section, so it's not like I was gonna go for a walk or anything. I'm okay. How are you? So whenever I was there, I had that isolation period that I needed in order to start to process what I had been through and how it was affecting me. So when I moved in here, that was when I was starting to, live life again. I was doing stuff. I was, making friends, hanging out with people. I became more social again. And then I stopped being social again and put myself in a period of isolation. So when we're healing, these isolation periods, they're really, really important. They're really important. And they will keep coming around, whether it's forced or we realize that we just really don't want to be around people. So with everybody being in some sort of quarantine, isolation, whatever kind of thing is going on where you're at, don't look at it as being trapped. Look at it as a way to go within and set yourself free. Because in isolation, when we don't let ourselves get distracted, when we don't let other people influence us, that's when we start to figure shit out. That's when we start to realize, I need to change. And it's not saying that, we're bad people and that's why we need to change. That's not the point. Okay? The point in changing ourselves is so that we are our authentic self, so that we can become happy, so that we can become healthy. Right? If we are depressed, anxious, angry all the time, if we have resentment towards people from our past or current people, if we feel guilt, those are all things within us that keep us from raising our vibration, right? Those are all things within us that keep us in a headspace of entrapment. We're trapped in our pain. We're trapped in our anger. We're trapped in our resentment and our guilt. We're not able to release and rise above those feelings because they're so embedded within us that we don't even know how to function without those kinds of feelings, without those kinds of thoughts. So when we're in an isolation period, whether it be a day, a month, a year, however it comes to us, in whatever form it comes to us, that's when we have that choice to sit in these feelings and recognize them and become really aware and realize, okay, this is what I need to do in order to not feel like this, because nobody wants to feel guilty. Nobody wants to feel sad and angry and in pain. Those are not feelings that we want to have. And what we tend to do is we push them away. We push them away. We distract ourselves, right? We want to go save everybody else from whatever situations they're in, because that distracts from the fact that we need to save ourselves too. So whenever we're in these isolation periods and we start to figure it out and we start to go in ourselves and start doing shadow work, we learn very specific lessons. These are all in my blog. And like I said before, I did not know anything that would end up in my blog. Like, I didn't know. I started writing my journal and something was like, put your journal on the internet. And I was like, okay, dear diary on the internet. Got it. Let's do that. And then eventually the blog just kind of became the journal. Instead of writing in my journal, I started writing it directly on the internet. And I started to learn these lessons as I was going within, figuring stuff out. I would recognize, okay, I'm triggered by something somebody said. Instead of telling them, I would go within and go, okay, why does this make me feel this way? What about what they said feels like a truth to me, even if it's not? But it feels like a truth. So somewhere there's something in me that is conditioned to react to that kind of thing because I feel somewhere within that there is a truth in it, right? So I started to do that. I started to become aware of when I was judging other people. And it was weird because I was never really a very judgmental person to begin with. And then like on this path of healing, at some point, we'll have these things come up. Like, I went from not really being a very judgmental person at all to out of the blue, I noticed myself judging almost everybody that I came across. And I was aware of it, but I wasn't like doing it out loud or anything, but I was like aware of it. And I was like, why why am I having these thoughts? That's really weird. And it was kind of like a part of me, it was like clearing something out, I guess, right? It came and went within a couple days. I didn't, boo! I didn't act on it. That's my kid, my 2-year-old. Yeah, you won. You got a lollipop, not a popsicle, but you know. Yeah.
Hi.
So, yeah, show them. Yeah, there you go. So, I started to have that. And then another time, like, my anxiety was good, and then my anxiety kind of just came out of nowhere, and it kicked back in for a little bit, or I would have moments where, old habits would try to resurface. So we have these cycles of clearing out old things out of our system. And as we go within and we recognize and we learn that self-awareness and we start to understand how to release it without it actually coming out in a way where it's affecting other people, right? So like whenever I have these weird judgmental thoughts coming in all the time, no, you need to, no. When I had all these weird judgmental thoughts coming in all the time, I didn't say anything to anybody. I just became aware. I noticed it, and I was like, well, that's very unlike me because I wasn't even like that to begin with, right? But I just kind of let the thoughts come and go, and I acknowledged that I had them. And, you know, my higher self was like, just don't worry about it. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm not going to worry about it. Sometimes when we're healing, we really don't have to put a lot of thought into what's going on. Sometimes we just have to let the thoughts come and go, let the feelings come and go, and not worry about it too much. Sometimes we will have the weirdest, craziest dreams that make no sense. And we can't go in too deep because, well, they can't be explained sometimes, right? So we just let it go. Let those dreams go.
Let it go. Let it go. Can't put it back anymore.
Really, Kyrie?
Yeah. Go.
Are you guys done?
Yeah.
Okay, well that was a little... Did you hear the girls singing?
Go. Go.
I feel like this might turn into a Disney karaoke session.
Go.
This is why I usually don't do lives when I have the kids around me.
Go.
Anyway, so while we're healing, we have where we kind of backtrack, right? Or where smaller things that we used to have, like occasionally judging somebody, come through hardcore where you find yourself constantly judging somebody. You're like, what the hell is wrong with this? But these are things where we just have to kind of let it go. It's stuff that's coming up to the surface to be released so that you don't have to worry about it later on. And then, like, the more we become aware of our thoughts and our feelings and thoughts. Did I say thoughts or thoughts? Excuse me.
Again.
What are you doing on the floor? Okay. I will pay you to babysit her. Well, you're already doing a horrible job. Look at that. Get up, Maddie. Here. You want to watch Pause? Kaya? What do you need? Oh my god, for the future people and the people watching, I'm sorry. It's been a busy morning. Anyways, yeah, so old things will come up. Weird dreams, weird thoughts, weird emotions. Just let them flow. The more we do this, eventually things will come up in our life where we understand, because we are getting this awareness of self. The more self-aware we are, the more aware of our surroundings we become. and we start to recognize signs, messages from spirit, the universe, God, Shiva, Allah, whatever name you got for that energy. It's all the same. It's all the same energy. Every aspect of every name within religions, they all have certain lessons. I don't know what she's yelling about. What? Yeah, I'm that mom. Anyways, so we start to understand that specific people and things come into our lives and that they serve as lessons. So when we start to learn these very specific lessons, keep a journal while you're healing. Seriously, keep a journal, because that's how my blog serves. Like, you can go back and you can be like, oh, I learned this lesson and that lesson and this lesson. And that's how I've been applying it to my life now, right? And sometimes what happens when we're writing these things down is we don't really realize what we're writing. It's like automatic writing. Because we go into like channeling mode. We start to channel things and we're not even aware that we're doing it. Like that one live I did where I was sitting here reading the journals to you guys, and I was looking at stuff and I was like, I do not remember writing that or even thinking or even knowing that when I wrote that. So keep a journal or draw or write songs, whatever way you use to express your journey, keep a record of it. Because in 3 months, you can go back and look at something you wrote down today and be like, whoa, that's crazy. So definitely keep some kind of record. It's really, really cool to be able to go back and recognize when you learn these lessons. Now, one of the lessons that we learn is forgiveness. Not only forgiveness of others, but forgiveness of self. Why do we have to forgive ourselves? Because we did not let ourselves heal. We let ourselves become distracted. We let ourselves be trapped in our guilt, in our fear, in our pain, in our sadness, in our anger, in our rage, right? We let ourselves become conditioned within these emotions to believe that we don't deserve anything other than what we have, right? So if we are in an abusive relationship, we become conditioned that that's what we deserve, right? Because if we felt like we truly did not deserve it, then we would not stick around. Why? Because we would, new lesson, another lesson, acknowledge our worth. Nobody has the right to hurt other people. But we also have to understand that people who are hurting hurt other people, right? I'm not going to go around hurting other people if I'm a happy person, right? And I'm not saying that everybody has the intent to hurt. Another lesson, intentions. So there's all these lessons, and within my lives and within my blog, you'll find these specific words popping up because they're all parts of those lessons that we learned, right? One of the lessons that I had learned fairly recently actually came through political stuff, which is weird because I never really cared for politics, but all of a sudden I just keep getting, like, spirit will literally hand me politics on a silver platter, like, here you go, here's some information, and I'm like, why do I need to know this? Why do I need to know politics, right? The reason I need to know politics is because politics has a purpose, right? So when I look at people in politics, I don't look from the perspective of, well, judgment, right? I don't look at the person or people in politics and go, I don't like them because they're doing this and this and that. I don't like them because they're this kind of way. You know, like, I don't look at them at a personal level. I look at the purpose that they're fulfilling, right? Now, people can go, oh, Trump, for instance, he's bringing America to hell, right? He's destroying the whole thing. That's one perception. Another perception would be the purpose of destruction is so that things can be rebuilt. And a lot of us have known for, however long, some of us longer than others, that destruction is a necessity. It is a necessity to rebuild. And the way the world is today, it is in a place where we have no other option but to acceptance, another lesson that you learn doing your shadow work, but to accept the destruction that is coming because we manifested it. Manifestation, another lesson that we learn, right? So what we have going on internally, fear of love, fear of rejection, fear of pain, fear of being alone, fear of letting people in because, well, fear of love and pain, right? There's these cycles. Fear and guilt and pain and sadness and anger, those are all feelings that we have been trapped in, conditioned to believe that these are normal feelings to have. Feelings are valid, but if a feeling is not serving your higher purpose to put you in a position of love, then why do we choose to stay in this entrapped space, right? We give ourselves this tiny little space to live in spiritually. We put ourselves in this tiny little space spiritually. And we wonder why we're sick and depressed and unhappy and miserable relationships and letting ourselves be abused. But we don't see it as I'm letting this person abuse me, right? We go, oh, well, I can't leave because of money. I can't leave because of the kids. I can't leave because of this, because of that. I understand that. I was there. I've been there. I've lived it. But at some point, we have to understand that we can leave. Because leaving an abusive situation is going to serve your higher purpose. And if you're trying to leave an abusive situation, the universe will provide. The universe will provide, one way or another. So if you're in a situation where it's toxic and unsafe, you can get out. Don't ever think that you have to stay somewhere because of the children, or because of finances, or because you don't have a car or a place to live. No, because if you are serving yourself with love and compassion and acknowledging that you are worth more than an abusive relationship or a toxic job or a toxic friendship and you need out, the universe will help you provide. All you have to do is say, hey, I need to get out of here. I want to get out of here. What do I got to do? And then pay attention. Pay attention. The doors will open. The windows will open. There will be so many escape routes that you can take. And sometimes it just gets handed to you on a silver platter. So, we learn the lessons. We break cycles, right? We start to become aware. So we're becoming aware of cycles within our lives, right? Specific types of people coming in that are meant to teach us a lesson. A lot of people talk about how empaths attract narcissists. Well, the narcissist's biggest problem is that they don't love themselves. Therefore, they treat other people like shit to make themselves feel more important, to make themselves feel loved, right? They manipulate in all sorts of things. Now, an empath has the exact same problem. But instead of hurting other people, they're trying to save everybody, right? So you have the Lucifer energy, the narcissist, and you have the Jesus energy, the empath. They have the same overall problem, right? The purpose is coming back to self-love, which neither one of them have, right? So instead of going, oh, well, the narcissist, treated me like shit, you should go, oh, well, this person is in pain and doesn't know how to love themselves, so they lashed out because they see all the love that I'm able to give, but I'm not able to receive love myself as an empath because I, just like the narcissist, am afraid of love and do not love myself, right? So they serve to teach each other self-love. Both of them. The empath and the narcissist, which is why we see them the way we do. A narcissist is also an empath. If you have a narcissist in your life, take a look at how much energy they are really able to absorb, but not transmute. The biggest narcissist I've met was the strongest empath I'd also ever met. But he had no idea. And he had no clue how to transmute that. We have to learn how to alchemize the energies that we're absorbing around us, or we have to learn how to block them out somehow, right? But energy and frequency are all in alignment. It's all one thing. You can't just block it. You got to learn how to transmute it. Hold on. Kids watch TV. So that's one of the things that, you know, we figure out. So these cycles, right? So say you're attracting a bunch of narcissists. The lesson is self-love. The lesson is to set up healthy boundaries. If you meet someone and you have a red flag. She's saying Pika? You see red flags coming up, you can immediately make the choice to say, I'm not going to let this person stay in my life. But most of the time what we do is, oh, I can help this person. I want to help this person be happy. I want to help this person heal. Acceptance. We have to accept that the only way a person will heal is if they want to heal. So if you're coming in and they have all these red flags with them and you go, oh, it's okay. I'll help you carry some of these red flags. And then they just kind of, you know, load them all off on you. And then you're sitting there carrying all that weight. And they're letting you. Because you let them give you all that weight. You could have just walked away. We don't have to stay in toxic situations. We have to accept that sometimes people just want to stay toxic. And it's not that they want to be toxic because it makes them happy. It's because we're so conditioned. We're so used to living in this tiny little spiritual loop here that we fear expansion, because with expansion comes, one, acknowledging ourselves in all aspects, which is hard and painful, right? We have to acknowledge and accept that a lot of the things are our own fault. You know, not everything. Sometimes shit really just happens and we have no control over it, right? So, but how we let people treat us, that's our fault, right? If it's a cycle, if it's something that keeps happening over and over, that's our fault. These cycles are meant to teach us lessons. If we do not learn the lesson and apply the lesson, that's a huge thing. People are like, oh yeah, I learned my lesson. Yes, but are you applying this lesson? Because if you are not applying the lesson, it's not going to do anything. I can know that 2 + 2 = 4, but if somebody says, you know, here's a test, take this test, and I see 2 + 2 and I write down 6, well, I did not apply what I learned, now did I? And then I'm going to fail that test. And then I'm going to have to retake the test. And that's how life works. These are these karmic cycles people talk about. It's not that, you know, in a past life I was a king and had a bunch of people killed. Which my soul at some point did stuff like that, right? That's not exactly how that works. Now, in that life, maybe I did not learn the lesson that I needed to learn as a king. Yeah, my soul. Maybe that lesson didn't come through. That, you know, being in power does not mean being a dick, right? Being in power, being a leader. This is something I tell my daughter because, you know, she's 6 years old and she wants to be a queen. And she goes, I want to be a queen. I say, why do you want to be a queen? She says, because a queen can do whatever she wants. And I say, no, she cannot. I say a queen and a king, they're leaders. They're meant to lead their people. They're meant to lead their people to safety. They're meant to lead their people to health. They're meant to lead their people to abundance and prosperity. That does not mean the queen or the king can do whatever they want. It means that they have to put the people before themselves. So, that was a lesson. Maybe I should have learned it in a past life and didn't. Or maybe I did learn it and that's why I know it now. I don't know. I don't remember all the details. Some people, they have like really, really detailed memories of past lives. I don't. I have bits and pieces. So that's what these karmic cycles are, though. It's these lessons coming in over and over and over again. Maybe a different scenario, different place, different person, but the ultimate lesson itself is always the same. And I can guarantee you that every single lesson, if you look back at the experiences you've had in your life and the people you've attracted in your life, because we do attract the people that come in. When I met the father of my girls, I was, good. I was happy. I was doing me. I was in a good place mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. I was in a good place. But then I attracted this highly toxic person into my life, and I didn't understand, everything that would happen and whatnot. Like, I was having fun, right? And then shit was not fun, and then it was fun again, and then not fun again, and just, the cycle of abuse, how it is, ups and downs, right? So eventually, through shadow work, I figured out that this person had to come into my life multiple times to teach me self-love, because even though I was perceiving my life as good at that time, I was not practicing self-love. Hi, I'm good, how are you? I wasn't practicing self-love, and I didn't realize that until, much later. I mean, I met him in 2013, so, here we are at 2020, it finally clicked, right? So he had to come into my life a couple times, and we had to go through this process a few times because I did not have healthy boundaries. I was sleeping with people for the wrong reasons. I was drinking for the wrong reasons. I was overindulging in alcohol. And I had a lot of toxic behavior towards myself that I was not aware of. I became aware of these things through abuse. Eventually, I recognized that the person abusing me is just a reflection of how I've been abusing myself, not an exact reflection, right? It's not like if you meet somebody who's addicted to drugs, it doesn't mean that you're an addict. It means that you are participating in some form of toxicity or abuse towards your own body, right? So that was the reflection. His actions were reflecting a part of myself, an aspect of myself, that I was not respecting my body, that I was not taking care of my body, that I was being toxic, that I was putting bad things into my body, that I was letting my addictions take control over specific things in my life. And I didn't have a drug addiction. I had an alcohol addiction. I had a sex addiction. So those were, things that were being shown to me through him that I didn't recognize until later on. Why did I not recognize them until later on? Because I didn't allow myself to. I didn't want to accept the fact that I was, I was a fuck up, right? I seemed great. I was feeling okay. Like, I thought I was good. But I wasn't. And then, I got worse through the abuse and everything. Things got worse, and then things got better, and then things got worse again. And, life is life, right? So we kind of just go through the motions. But the cycles kept coming through, Once my baby daddy was out of the picture, somebody else came in. Different person, same cycle. Different drug, different abuse, same cycle though. It was to teach me to set healthy boundaries, to accept things, and to learn self-love. And that's literally what shadow work is all about. Learning how to love ourselves, so that when somebody one day comes up and says, "Who do you love the most?" you not only find that, you don't really love anybody the most, you find that you might not love yourself enough, you might not love other people enough, because here's the thing, when we have these lessons that we learned, one of these lessons is to see others as yourself, through reflecting, but also because you learn to understand people on a whole other level. Because like I said, self-awareness brings awareness of others. So when I see someone acting a certain way, instead of me going, off in their face or whatever, I take a step back and I think to myself, what would make me act that way? What kind of pain would I have to act in this way? And I have not been wrong once. I have not been wrong once about somebody's intentions or actions and feelings that were behind it when I started to recognize how this works. I have not been wrong. And I know this because, I talk to people. And people talk to me. They open up to me. People have always opened up to me. I've had strangers come up to me and tell me like the craziest stuff, and I'm like, you don't, like, I could be a cop and you're over here talking to me about all this stuff that could get you locked up, and they'd be like, you're not a cop. Well, yeah, I wasn't a cop, but still, you know, like, I could have been a snitch, right? Somebody comes up to me. I just moved into an apartment. And I did not know this, but I didn't know this guy. I'd never seen him before. And he comes up to me and he shows me a letter from the landlord showing how much rent he owes. He's showing me he's got pills. He's talking about drugs. He's talking about all this stuff. And I was like, I don't even know you. I could be coming in here as an undercover cop. And you wouldn't even know. And you're telling me all this stuff. And he was just like, you're not a cop. Things like that have happened a lot when I was in Missouri. So it was weird, right? Like, the whole cycle with addiction or being around addicts started very shortly after I got there. And I didn't recognize that I did have that cycle here in Germany growing up here until later on, where I was like, yeah, that cycle began here, but each round, you know, every time the cycle had to come back around because I was not learning the lessons that I was supposed to learn, right? Setting healthy boundaries, acknowledging my worth, self-love. The cycles get worse. They came back around, more intense, more painful, more dangerous, until eventually I reached a point where I realized, well, my life is kind of on the line at this point, and the lives of my children. So I gotta break free out of this cycle physically, and I did. And then when I got back to Germany, I started to break free of those cycles mentally and emotionally. And it all came down to love. Loving myself. Loving others. Who do I love the most? Everybody. Why? Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not? I don't need a reason to love myself. I can name reasons why I love myself, which I couldn't have done a couple of years ago. I don't need reasons to love you. But I just do. Because it's a being. It's a state of being that we're in. And, like, I'm super tired right now. And I know, you know, I'm not the kind of person who's always smiling and on my lives, just because that's just not... I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I don't know. Some people think I'm bubbly. I don't think I'm bubbly. I can be bubbly. But, like, you know. It's a different thing to watch me in a live than it is to actually, like, talk to me a lot. Shauna, she's got a whole list of weird shit that I've said. So, yeah. It all comes down to love. And... the reason we fear it is because of that pain. So, if you're doing shadow work, one of the first things you probably want to figure out is your first experience where love was painful. What is your first memory that you associated love with pain? Was it your parents getting divorced? Was it somebody hurting you physically, mentally, emotionally? Was it sexual abuse? Was it watching someone else get hurt? You know, death of an animal, of a pet? Death of somebody you cared about? What is the first memory that you have where love became pain? And then what's the second memory you had? Hi, Carol. Hello, how are you? And the third memory, and so on and so forth, right? So, I don't know how far back people say that we're supposed to have memories. My earliest memory, I was about 3. And then another one, I was probably 4, because it was in Kitzingen, which means I was 4, yeah. So those are like the earliest memories I have, are 3 and 4. But then I have a whole phase where I have no memories at all. Hold on. Hey, ich bin hier gerade live auf Facebook. Schwupps zurück. Sorry. I don't know what's going on today. What was I saying? Totally lost track, guys. Where love became pain. Yes, write that down. I don't know what I was saying after that. Could have sworn it was something else. Write it down. Figure it out. Where love became pain. My girls are screaming. And then, figure out why. Right? Why did that become pain? How did it affect me? And my ability to receive, hi Sam, and accept love. This is awkward. Give X to me. That's my sister. So, yeah, make that list. Figure it out. Do the same thing for healthy boundaries. Think back to the first time you can remember where you should have set a healthy boundary and you didn't, and why. Why did you not set that healthy boundary? Was it because you felt forced? Like in family situations, right? Or even friends. We had a friend over. He's the neighbor's friend. And we were all outside playing and stuff. And he was playing with Kyrie. And my kids absolutely adore him, right? They love him. He's super sweet. But he was playing with Kyrie. And Kyrie reached a point where she didn't want to be touched anymore. She didn't want to play anymore. And he grabbed her. And she got really mad. And she cried, and she ran off. And I was like, what happened? And she said, I didn't want to play anymore, and he didn't understand. Now, there's a language barrier here. She doesn't speak too much German. He doesn't understand a lot of English. So, you know, he felt really, really bad, and he apologized to her and everything. But the reason she reacted like that was because I make it very clear to my children that if they don't want to touch someone, or if they don't want to be touched, they don't have to. I don't care if it's family. If somebody in the family wants to hug you, and you don't want that hug, you say no, and that's fine. Now, this is where people don't learn how to set healthy boundaries in childhood because, you know, we're forced to give our aunt a hug. We're forced to let our uncle hug us. We're forced to accept the cheek pinches and the head rubs and, oh, look at the curls. I hated that. Oh, my God, I hated that. So we're forced into these situations as young children that we have to let people do things that we don't want them to do. To us, with our bodies, right? So, if somebody comes up to my kid and wants to hug my kid, and she doesn't want to hug, I don't say, no, go give him a hug. I say, don't hug my kid. Right? Just like sharing. We tell our kids to share. I tell my kids to share. But if somebody comes up and they want something that belongs to my kid, you know, it's a brand new toy or something, and it's the only thing that she's got, I'm not going to force her to share that one thing she has. Right? Because healthy boundaries. We don't have to share everything. We're supposed to give with love, right? If we give something and we expect something in return, that's not unconditional love. There's a condition, there's a stipulation. I will give you this, but I want this in return. Well, if I'm going to share something, I'm going to do it without expectation. I'm going to do it just because I want to do it. Otherwise, it's not from the heart. And that's what I try to teach my kids. I teach them to share because sharing is caring, but I also teach them, I'm trying to teach them to have those healthy boundaries in place. So yeah, write down the first memory you have, where love became pain, and the first memory you have where a healthy boundary was not set, whether because you didn't do it or because you were put in a position where you were not allowed to do it. Alright, and I'm not saying that this is like blame your parents or your guardians, whoever raised you, you know, for not having healthy boundaries. They didn't know any better. Right? If they didn't know any better, then they couldn't taught you any better. And that's where people like me come in We're figuring it out. We're sharing our journey so that you guys have it a little bit easier in figuring it out. Because shadow work is hard. And it can seem really complicated at times, you know, especially the whole reflection thing. People are like, oh, well, this must be reflecting something that's exactly the way I am. But it's not always like that. Reflection, it's a really tricky thing. It's a really tricky thing. Because sometimes it's not a direct reflection. Sometimes it's not even a reflection. Sometimes it's projection. And we get the two confused. You know? So sometimes it's not something reflecting something. Sometimes it's somebody projecting. And we're like, hold up. But sometimes the projection is a reflection. You see, it just... Oh, boy, it can get real complicated. It can get real complicated. So, figure out where love became pain. Figure out where you learned to not set healthy boundaries. And then just kind of go down a list, right? Just make a list of how many times something like that happened, where you should have set a healthy boundary and you didn't do it. Where you could have had love, but you were too afraid of it to accept it. In order for us to really be able to understand love in its entirety, on a higher level, what it really is, we have to learn to love ourselves. The love that I used to have for people, it was strong, right? Like, I've always loved with all I could. I gave all of me, right? All my energy, all my time, all my money, whatever they wanted. Put myself on the back burner, drained myself. I became sick in multiple ways, exhausted, drained, unhappy, suicidal, because I didn't know that in order for me to be able to give unconditional love without it being draining, I would have to do it from a place where I love myself first. Because if I'm loving myself first, I am setting those healthy boundaries. I am acknowledging my worth. I am understanding that I have to accept certain things for what they are, and I cannot pour all of my love into somebody who does not want it because they're not open to receive it because they fear love, right? So I can still love them, but I'm not going to pour all of myself into them and exhaust myself. Because we do that over and over and over again, especially as empaths, right? And everybody's an empath. But being an aware empath is different, right? Just like everybody is ascending, but not everybody is aware that they are ascending. Not everybody has to be awake, to ascend. It's not the same thing. Just because somebody understands spirituality and somebody feels that awareness doesn't mean that the person who has no idea is not experiencing the same lessons, just that they are not aware. So I'm just talking about all the random things right now because that's what's floating in here. The floaty feels. My girls are awfully quiet right now. Yeah. So there is something else that I have to talk to you guys about. Well, I don't have to, but Spirit wants me to. And I'm still trying to figure out if I want to do it in a blog or a live, because it involves the father of my son, my ex-husband, and what happened back then. For some reason, I feel like somebody out there really needs to know. That's why they've been pushing me to share it. And then my cat died. I kind of been, not in the headspace. So, I will be back to share that live or in a blog. Do you hear my kid screaming? Yeah. Hi, Sam. That's my sister, guys. Sam May. Nobody else is watching yet, but whenever more people do, that's her. Alright. I'm gonna call you now, Sam. Make your list, guys. When did love become pain? First memory you have when love became painful. And when you did not set healthy boundaries. Or where you were forced or not allowed to set healthy boundaries. All of our problems started in our childhood. We just have to give ourselves the space to remember. And then we have to accept the feelings that come with it. Let the memory go. Release the feelings. And understand that they didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know what we were doing because we were kids. You know, we were taught, we were molded, we were conditioned. But now we know better. We know better. I know better. My parents don't know better yet. Maybe they do, I don't know. But I know better. So when we know better, that's when we have to take full accountability, right? That's when we know, okay, well, I can make these changes. I can set healthy boundaries. I can teach my children how to set healthy boundaries. Break the cycles. Make your list. If you need help figuring stuff out, let me know. I'll come back either today or tomorrow to talk about that. And then in my group, I'm going to be going live this weekend. Not this page, but the actual group that belongs to it. To talk about dreams and stuff like that. And then just whoever wants to ask questions. So let me know if you're in the group. If not, you can, it's just this, it's connected here on the page. Reconnect to Spirit, but I am going to be changing the page name and the group name. Let me know what time zone you're in, because I'm trying to do it on the weekend at a time frame where it's not 3 o'clock in the morning here, but it's like, you know, easier for people to actually get on. That's the whole issue right now, is that everybody's in different time zones. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm gonna call my sister. Shop's telephone, Sammy. Alright, I love you. Love yourself. Bye.